What's up everyone, Molly and I are back home. We already discussed the Ahsoka trailer from our hotel room at Star Wars Celebration, but now that I've got some time, I wanted to do the old frame-by-frame breakdown. Better late than never. I'll also be discussing some of the footage that wasn't revealed to the public as best as I can remember it. First of all, before we get into the visuals, the music for this trailer is great. I have no idea if it'll be used in the series itself, but I love it, and I was thrilled to hear that Kevin Kiner will be serving as the composer. Dave Filoni said it just made sense, and he is so right. Kiner created Ahsoka's theme and has continued writing fantastic music for the animated series. I love that he'll be sticking with the character for her live-action appearances. We ominously open with Ahsoka saying she senses something dark is coming as she wanders through some old ruins, eventually cutting her way inside. Have some respect, Ahsoka, these structures are ancient. It's hard to say whether they're Jedi or Sith or something else. The markings seem familiar to what Ahsoka, Ezra, and Kanan saw at the Sith Temple on Malachor, but they're also kinda similar to what we see inside the Jedi Temple on Lothal. But do you know what links both locations? The world between worlds, and the inside with those circles and lines, that's also pretty reminiscent of the mystical location, but we'll come back to discussing that later. I love the red Lucasfilm logo, just adding to the ominous feel of the teaser, but next up we spend some time with Sabine Wren. It looks like she'll be living in Ezra's old home in the communications tower. You can see his scout trooper helmet in the background. Sabine is sitting in front of her own helmet, and I think she's wearing some of her armor as well, like maybe she's contemplating putting it back on for the first time in a while. And she's got a Lothcat. Natasha Liu Bordizzo did say something at the panel about loving her Lothcat. Ray Stevenson's character, Baylan Skoll, picks up the voiceover, saying, "This is a new beginning. For some, war. For others, power." During that talk, we see several HK droids surrounding Ahsoka in those very same ruins. You can see the hole she cut in the ground behind her, so I'm guessing they show up after she goes exploring. They don't have the markings of Thrawn's 7th Fleet like the ones from The Mandalorian Season 2 did, but I would assume they are aligned with the Grand Admiral and Morgan Elsbeth. We also see the Phantom 2 shuttle being piloted by Harrison Dula as they chase after something. I have no idea what she's after, but she looks great. I've thought some of the live-action Twi'leks of late have looked a little rough, but as one of the stars of the show, it seems like they really took some extra care on her. Same with Ahsoka. Her design has improved since Season 2, and Rosario Dawson at the panel talked about how the Montrals are now 3D printed skeletons with synthetic skin on top, giving them a much more organic feel. Maybe they're doing the same thing with Hera's Leku. There's a fast shot of Chopper during the chase as well, and it looks like they're on a water planet. I can't tell, but I can't wait to see what war crimes Chopper commits this time around. We get a brief glimpse of Baylan as he continues his speech, and it looks like he's on a forest with red trees. That's kinda hard to make out. But next we see Ivana Sakno's character, Shin Hati, attacking a New Republic vessel. She seems awesome, very dynamic, moving fast, multitasking with her lightsaber and using the Force. It's a fast shot, but it's a great one. And yes, her lightsaber is red-orange, which Dave Filoni commented on in an interview saying that it was purposeful. I'm wondering if these characters could be using synthetic lightsaber crystals. Back in the Legends days, red lightsabers were typically powered using handmade crystals rather than natural ones. Now Sith lightsabers are powered by corrupted kyber, but maybe these slightly off-looking sabers were made by different means. Popping back over to Lothal, we see Ahsoka and Sabine's first meeting in a while. We know that because Sabine says, "It's been a while," and she looks great in her flight jacket with her own variant of the Rebel insignia on her patch. I think all of this has to take place before the epilogue of Star Wars Rebels. Sabine has long hair and she's out of her armor. Ahsoka is still in her gray robes, not her white. I think we're gonna see events that lead to the two of them picking up the search by the end of the season, if not sooner, because the alternate footage we were shown did have Sabine with short hair in it. We saw the mural from the epilogue. We saw a Purrgil. I think we will definitely reach the point where they begin the search for their friend, but the characters are going to have some stuff to deal with beforehand. Ahsoka will eventually start wearing the white robes, and Sabine will eventually begin to wear her armor openly once more. It does make sense that she might not have it on at first, considering what happened to Mandalore. Ahsoka tells Sabine things have changed, and we see a shot of New Republic senators, including Mon Mothma. I was not expecting that. It will be interesting to see how this version of the character matches up with her portrayal on Andor. I'm not worried about it, I think it's certainly possible, but it's interesting to see one of the leads of Andor going through so much intense stuff, and now she'll be in the Mandoverse, which leans way farther into the pulpy and weird side of Star Wars. One of the other senators is Hamato Ziono, father of Kaz from Star Wars Resistance. I'm psyched to see that series getting some acknowledgement, but more generally, I think I'm excited to see the senatorial side of the New Republic, especially Mothma's perspective, because The Mandalorian has been showing us all this bureaucracy holding the New Republic down, and I want to know how Mothma feels about it. Ahsoka continues on saying she's heard whispers of Thrawn's return, and we see the back of his head, but we also saw his face at Celebration, and he looked great from what I can remember, very intense. I think Lars Mikkelsen will crush this. Also, my current theory is that we are going to see him much sooner than August. I think we'll get a glimpse of him in the Mandalorian Season 3 finale. Ahsoka also drops the line, an heir to the Empire. I know some people thought that was maybe too on the nose, but I cheered for it. I'm in. Heir to the Empire, Dark Force Rising, and The Last Command, along with the X-Wing books, really shaped who I was as a Star Wars fan in the mid to late 90s as I was becoming obsessed. I was reading as much as I could, waiting for the prequels, because that's all I had outside of the original trilogy. So yeah, be blunt about it for all I care. Give me those nods. I don't need or even want a direct adaptation of those books. They've got some weird stuff in them that I could do without, but they absolutely deserve a little shout out for keeping Star Wars alive when there was nothing else coming. Also, Ahsoka looks like she could be in that forest with the red leaves, and I don't know what to make of that, so I'm just gonna move on. There are a couple of shots of Elsbeth on Thrawn's ship, maybe looking at his command chair or something. Maybe she's lusting over the power he has. I wonder how she escaped capture. I assume Ahsoka would have locked her up after their duel, but who knows. It also looks like the ship is in orbit above a planet. Okay, back to the World Between Worlds. This was the moment where I just had no idea what was happening in this trailer. I was not expecting more Force users, I was not expecting the World Between Worlds, I was not expecting a Force user inside the World Between Worlds. A dark side user in there is bad news. At Celebration, my buddy Nerdy Nightly said the equipment behind Baylan looks like maybe he's trying to map out the World Between Worlds, if that's what this is. It kinda looks like Surveyor's equipment. I wonder if Baylan is from another time. His armor and his lightsaber give off a more ancient feel to me. If that's the case, I don't know how I feel about it. I love the concept of the World Between Worlds, but I think it needs to be used sparingly, and time travel is always a dicey thing to introduce into stories. In our initial discussion video at Celebration, I threw out the wild idea that he and Shin could be like a new version of Darth Bane and Darth Zana. I don't think that's the case at all, but maybe a couple of ancient Sith or Darksiders are trying to find a point in time where they can more easily take power, and Ahsoka is trying to stop him. I don't know, I am right in the middle of excitement and caution when it comes to this World Between Worlds stuff. No matter their origins, Baylan and Shin are definitely part of the present-day story, since we see them both taking on the New Republic and Shin is chasing Ahsoka's ship in her own starfighter. Ahsoka's voiceover says the Jedi fell a long time ago and there aren't many left as she battles an Inquisitor, something else I wasn't expecting to see. It looks an awful lot like the Eighth Brother from Star Wars Rebels to me, and they're fighting in some kind of shipyard. You can see a half-constructed Star Destroyer in the background, but I don't know if it's being dismantled or built, and I don't know when or where this is. It kinda reminds me of Corellia and the huge industrial trenches you fly through in the Millennium Falcon at Galaxy's Edge, which means it could also be the water world where Hera and Chopper were flying around earlier. The floating platforms outside this window seem to match the background of that one shot. Or maybe this is a new world where Elsbeth and Thrawn are rebuilding an Imperial fleet. I have no clue. But for the very final shot, we have Professor Huyang on Lothal saying, "Perhaps it's time to begin again." If you're unfamiliar, he is a droid that helped younglings build their lightsabers in the Clone Wars, but he has helped countless Jedi build their lightsabers. In fact, the New Timelines reference book stated he is nearly as old as the Jedi Order itself. I have no idea what part he's going to play in this story, but it's cool to have him back, still voiced by David Tennant. But that's everything I've got for this trailer. Basically just a ton of questions that I can't wait to have answered in August. Let me know what you thought of the teaser in the comments. If you haven't already, please like this video, subscribe to the channel to keep up with all our Star Wars coverage, follow us on TikTok, Twitter, and Instagram, and consider checking out our Patreon page. As always, thanks for watching, and may the Force be with you.